Night settles over the house, and the room becomes almost completely dark. A thin strip of pale light falls across the floor, leaving the corners soft and uncertain. Your cat, who seemed asleep only a moment ago, slowly lifts its head. It does not meow, does not run, and does not come towards you for attention. Instead, it sits perfectly still in the hallway, eyes wide, ears slightly angled, whiskers pointing forward, as if every part of its body has turned toward one empty place on the wall. You follow its gaze. There is nothing there. No movement, no shadow you can explain, no object that should matter. Yet your cat keeps staring, calm but completely focused, as though the blank space in front of it contains something meaningful. Many cat owners know this moment, and that is why it feels so unsettling. Is the cat imagining something? Is it hearing a tiny sound behind the wall? Is it sensing a smell, a vibration, a trace of movement, or a change in the air that human senses simply miss? If the world is not made only of what human eyes can see, then how much larger is the world your cat is living in? To answer that, we have to begin where most mysteries begin, in the quiet dark. To answer that question, we begin in the dark, because darkness is where the difference between human perception and feline perception first becomes impossible to ignore. For us, darkness is where details fade, edges disappear, and familiar rooms become uncertain. For a cat, darkness is not an empty curtain pulled over the world. It is another version, built from faint light, tiny motion, and signals too subtle for human eyes. A cat's eyes are adapted for low light in a way ours are not. Behind the retina is a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, which sends available light back through the eye so the photoreceptor cells get another chance to detect it. This is why a cat's eyes can glow when light catches them at night, and it is one reason a cat can move through a dim room with a confidence that would leave a person reaching for a switch. So when you see only the outline of a chair, your cat may still notice the chair leg, the gap beneath it, and the slight movement of something crossing the floor. It does not see darkness the way we do. It reads what remains inside it, and what remains is often enough. But feline vision is not only about seeing in low light. Cats are highly tuned to movement. A shifting shadow, a tiny insect, a loose thread trembling near the floor, or the smallest motion beneath a blanket can awaken the hunting system that still lives inside even the calmest house cat. That sudden sprint at 3 a.m. may look irrational to you, but to your cat, something may have moved. There is also a more unusual layer. Research suggests cats may be sensitive to parts of ultraviolet light that humans normally cannot see. That does not mean the room glows like science fiction, but it may mean certain traces, patterns, reflections, or marks appear differently to them. In the dark, your cat's world does not shrink. It quietly shifts into another language. When you see nothing, your cat may have just seen something pass. After darkness comes silence, but to a cat, silence does not always mean nothing is happening. A quiet house for you may still be full of tiny signals because feline hearing reaches far beyond the range most humans can notice. Studies on domestic cats have found that their hearing can extend from very low frequencies up to around 85 kilohertz under certain testing conditions, while human hearing usually fades much earlier at the high end. That means a cat may react to a world of sounds that simply never reaches your awareness. This is why a cat can lift its head when you hear nothing, stare toward a wall as if something is moving behind it, or walk to the door before anyone has knocked. It may be picking up the faint movement of an insect in a corner, the scrape of a mouse inside a wall, a small electronic whine, footsteps in a hallway, movement on another floor, or distant activity outside the home. Its ears can angle and rotate with remarkable precision, helping it locate where a sound comes from without needing to move the rest of its body. And hearing is only one part of this hidden layer. Cats also respond to vibration and environmental change. Through their paws, whiskers, body, and inner ear, They can notice subtle shifts in their surroundings: a floor tremor, a pipe moving behind a wall, pressure before a storm, humid air before heavy rain, or a distant rumble long before it becomes obvious to you. This does not mean cats can reliably predict disasters, even though stories about animals acting strangely before storms or earthquakes are common. A safer explanation is that cats are extremely sensitive to small changes in the present moment. When your cat suddenly hides under the bed, freezes near a doorway, or turns toward an empty wall, it may not be seeing the future. It may simply be noticing the present before you do, with quiet certainty. But a cat does not only meet the world through its eyes and ears. It also feels its way through space with a body built like a living sensor. The clearest example is its whiskers. They are not decorative hairs, and they are not just part of a cat's familiar face. Whiskers, or vibrissae, are specialized touch organs rooted deeply in the skin, surrounded by sensitive nerves that respond when air shifts, when an object brushes past, or when movement changes close to the body. This is why a cat may pause before pushing its head into a narrow gap. It may not be hesitating in the way a person hesitates. It may be measuring. The whiskers tell it how close the edges are, how wide the opening feels, and whether its body is likely to fit. In darkness, those same whiskers work with the paws, muscles, ears, and balance system to build a quiet map of nearby space. A box, a doorway, the edge of a chair, the side of a bowl, all become information the body can read. Then there is heat. Cats have an almost legendary ability to find the warmest place in a room: a patch of sunlight, a folded blanket, a laptop that was recently used, a chair you just left, or the curve of your own body. Warmth means comfort, but for a small predator, warmth can also mean life, safety, and usable energy. So, when your cat chooses your lap, it may begin with heat, but it does not end there. Your scent, your stillness, and your familiarity turn that warmth into something closer to home. This is why the body of a cat deserves respect. Cutting whiskers is not simply changing how a cat looks, it can disturb part of the way it understands space. A bowl that is too deep or too narrow may also bother some cats when their whiskers touch the sides again and again. To us, empty space is empty. To a cat, even empty space has shape. The body gives a cat shape, but scent gives the house its memory. Humans live heavily through images. We notice furniture, light, color, and the visible order of a room. A cat enters the same room and finds another layer entirely. The trace of a stranger who visited hours ago. The smell of another animal on your sleeve. Food carried in from outside. Shoes that crossed unknown ground. Cleaning products on the floor. And the faint chemical changes that come from stress, sickness, comfort, or fear. For cats, smell is not background information. It is part of how they understand territory, safety, familiarity, and change. A chair is not just a chair if another cat has rubbed against it. A hand is not the same hand after it has touched a dog. A new object is not neutral until it has been investigated, circled, and slowly accepted into the scent map of the home. This is where the Jacobson's organ, also called the vomeronasal organ, becomes important. When a cat smells something and then holds its mouth slightly open with a blank, almost surprised expression, it may be showing the Flaman response. In that moment, scent molecules are being drawn toward a specialized system used to analyze chemical signals, especially pheromones and other social information that ordinary human noses would never separate. That is why a cat may spend so long sniffing your shoes, your fingers, the edge of a table, or the corner of a new box. It is not being strange. It is reading. And for a cat, reading a place takes time. Scent is also emotional. It helps explain why moving house, rearranging furniture, using strong floor cleaners, or bringing in a new pet can make a cat uneasy. The world it trusted has been rewritten in another language. So instead of forcing closeness, it is better to let the cat smell, watch, and choose distance on its own. For cats, introduction does not begin with touch. It begins with scent. You enter a room and see what is still there. Your cat enters and knows what has changed long before you can notice it at all. And inside that world of scent, heat, darkness, and subtle movement, one ancient force is still awake: the hunting instinct. A house cat may sleep on a sofa, eat from a clean bowl, and curl beside a human every night, but beneath that softness is a body shaped by predation. The eyes are waiting for motion, the muscles are ready to spring, and the mind is built to notice the small changes that most people ignore. A toe moving under a blanket, a charging cable swaying slightly, sunlight shifting across the floor, a cursor sliding across a screen, or a leaf drifting past a balcony can all switch on that hidden system. What looks like random mischief may actually be hunting energy with nowhere to go. When a cat ambushes your feet from under a chair, it is not necessarily being mean, and it may not be angry at you. In a quiet indoor life without enough chasing, stalking, and pouncing, your movement can become the closest available substitute for prey. This is why play is not just entertainment for cats. It is a way to let an old instinct move safely through a modern home. Wand toys, rolling balls, toy mice, and objects a cat can actually catch give that instinct an ending. If a laser is used, it should lead to something real the cat can grab, so the chase does not end in frustration. A cat does not need a forest to become a hunter. Sometimes, a moving blanket is enough to wake the ancient animal within. And once that ancient instinct is awake, it does not only turn toward toys, shadows, or movement. It also turns toward you. In the world your cat is reading, the person who shares its home becomes an important source of information. You are not just a person who feeds it or opens doors. You are a pattern of scent, posture, routine, movement, temperature, and voice that changes from day to day. Cats may not understand human language the way humans understand one another, but they learn the rhythm of a home with surprising attention. They learn when you usually wake, how you walk when you are relaxed, how your voice sounds when the house feels calm, and how your body behaves when something is wrong. When you are stressed, those patterns shift. Your schedule may change, your steps may become heavier, your gestures sharper, your breathing different, and your scent subtly altered by the chemistry of stress. To a cat, these small changes are not meaningless. They are signals. That is why some cats quietly approach when their owner is sad or unwell. Some lie nearby without demanding touch. Some place a paw on the body. Others simply remain in the same room, close enough to be present, but far enough to feel safe. It would be too much to say that a cat always knows sadness as humans define it, but it can often recognize when you are not the same as usual. A cat does not say, "I understand you." Sometimes it simply stays close as though quiet closeness is the only answer it knows how to give. And yet, even after scent, movement, memory, and emotion, there are still parts of a cat's world we do not fully understand. One of the most fascinating is the way some cats seem able to find their way back to familiar places. Stories exist of cats returning home after being lost, traveling far, or after a family moved. It is easy to imagine a secret compass hidden inside them, but this is where mystery needs caution. A cat's sense of direction may come from many things working together, not from one magical ability. It may remember the layout of streets, the smell of familiar territory, the direction of light, the sounds of a neighborhood, the position of shelter, and routes it used before. Some researchers also wonder whether animals may use signals humans barely notice, but that possibility should be treated as an open question, not a proven answer. What matters most is this: a cat may be better at orientation than we expect, but that does not make the outside world safe. A lost cat can still panic, hide, be chased, be hit by a car, or become trapped somewhere unfamiliar. Loving a cat does not mean testing how well it can find the way home. It means protecting it before it ever has to try. Perhaps cats carry a finer map than we imagine, but the kindest map is still the one that keeps them from being lost. And now we return to the place where this began. The quiet corner, the blank wall, the cat sitting still, as if the room has offered it a secret. To you, it may still look like nothing more than paint, shadow, and empty space. There is no clear movement, no obvious signal, no reason for that fixed stare. But after seeing the world through a cat's senses, nothing no longer feels like such a simple word. In that corner, there could be the faint movement of an insect too small for you to notice. There could be water shifting inside a pipe, a mouse behind a wall, a trace of scent left from yesterday, a thin current of air passing under a door, dust moving through weak light, warmth lingering on a surface, a pale reflection from somewhere outside, or a place your cat has learned to associate with something that happened before. Science does not confirm that cats see spirits, and a responsible documentary should not pretend that it does. But science does show that cats experience the world through channels we do not share in the same way. Their eyes are built for low light and motion. Their ears reach into frequencies we miss. Their whiskers read the movement of air. Their noses separate chemical messages that mean almost nothing to us. Their bodies respond to heat, vibration, texture, and space with a sensitivity we often underestimate. So, perhaps the most reasonable answer is not that your cat is imagining things. Perhaps it is sensing something real, only that real thing exists outside the narrow range of human attention. The blank wall may not be blank to your cat. The quiet corner may not be quiet. The empty space may not be empty at all. Sometimes nothing is only what we call the part of the world our senses failed to reach in the first place at all. Still, after all of this, one balance matters. A cat's senses are extraordinary, but not every unusual behavior should be turned into a mystery. If a cat suddenly changes in a strong or lasting way, the first response should be careful attention, not imagination. A cat that stops eating, drinks far more than usual, hides constantly, cries in a new way, becomes suddenly aggressive, urinates outside the litter box, trembles, loses balance, panics while staring at one place, or shows a clear change in personality, may be dealing with stress, pain, illness, fear, or a problem in its environment. Veterinary guidance often begins by ruling out medical causes before treating a behavior as purely emotional or mysterious. The home should be checked as well. New smells, new animals, loud changes, blocked litter access, or objects that make the cat feel trapped. Understanding cats does not mean making every behavior supernatural. It means knowing when to be curious and when to be concerned in the right way, for their safety too. After that balance, the meaning of the whole story becomes clearer. Cats and humans may live inside the same house, pass through the same hallway, rest under the same light, and share the same quiet rooms, but that does not mean they are experiencing the same world. You see a chair. Your cat may also sense the warmth left behind on it. You see a clean floor. Your cat may read the scent trails that passed across it. You hear a silent room. Your cat may notice a high, hidden sound behind a wall. You see an empty corner. Your cat may be reading light, smell, air, movement, heat, and memory all at once. Perhaps that is why cats feel both familiar and distant. They sleep beside us, eat in our homes, press their heads into our hands, and still, in certain moments, seem to belong to a deeper layer of reality. Not a supernatural world necessarily, but a sensory one, richer and more delicate than ours. So, the next time your cat stares into empty space, do not rush to laugh and do not rush to fear. Watch carefully. Maybe it is not seeing a ghost, maybe it is not imagining anything, maybe it is simply reminding us that the world is larger than the part humans can easily notice. If your cat has ever stared at nothing and made you wonder, share that moment in the comments below.